wanted to bring applicants on here to see perspectives from different applicants who matched in different specialities. I matched in psychiatry, you matched in internal medicine, and we're going to bust all the myths and talk about our match journey so that people can know how serious or how not serious it can be. How are you feeling, Tanya?
So first of all, Ravleen, really thankful that called me here for this session, and congratulations to you as well for matching into
Thank you.
psychiatry. And that's a pre-match. It's like a huge deal. So congratulations for that. Really grateful to be here. Yeah.
When you got that you have matched email, how are you feeling?
The first 10 minutes, like when the result was about to come, I was literally shivering. Initially, I was listening to all this English pop music, rock, like hard metal in full volume. And then within like 2 minutes, I started I also believe in Sikhism. So I started all those Gurbanis. I was like, please. And
Yeah,
then
it's like God.
praying, yeah, praying to the God. You're going to get an email, first of all. But that didn't happen. And then suddenly the NRMP page, it got refreshed and I started crying like anything. I was like, I don't know what is happening. My parents were like, kya hua, batao, like what happened? And then they were like, tell us clearly. We are so anxious right now. And I have posted a reaction video, and then it was so genuine, so raw. And I had to cut out the parts where I was crying and sobbing like a baby during that moment. And then it was just too surreal. I I think I lost all my ATP molecules at that time because I was screaming, howling, crying, and everything. And then my relatives just started calling, yeah, thank you, like that. And then, yeah, so it was that funny and, raw. And it was so cute. That whole moment was so surreal.
So Tanya Ratnani is gonna be an MD, internal medicine, right? Where are you going finally?
I matched into Guthrie Robert Parker.
Hmm.
It's a program. It's a community program in Sayre, Pennsylvania. So it's a small, pretty town with a lot of natural beauty surrounding by, and it's very close to Niagara Falls. So it's gonna be a fun place to be at.
Very scenic nature.
Yeah,
So are
very
you a
scenic.
nature person?
I think I am, yes. I do enjoy nature every once in a while because where I belong from, it's also a small town. It's very green. I have never seen the city hustle bustle. So,
Okay.
I'll be very easily, adapting to that environment where I'm going. So, it's going to be fun.
So where did you do your med school from? And like tell me a little bit about your USMLE steps. When did you take them?
Okay. So, I'm from a government college here in the state called Chhattisgarh. It's a place called Bhilai. It's very famous for the steel plant. And
Hmm.
my med school was also here. And I decided to start USMLE when I was still in my third year of MBBS.
Same, same.
Yeah, I think we both had pretty much the same timeline because I remember texting you when you were giving your step one in 2021.
Yeah.
You gave few months before me, and I was like, oh my God, somebody is there in the same track.
Yeah. Okay. So you took your step one in your third year of
Yes,
med school.
yes.
Okay. What about your step two then?
My step two was right after my internship. So because of COVID, our whole session was extended by 6 months. That was so unfortunate for all of us. But then again, when internship started, it was really difficult managing along with the duties because coming from a government college, it's extremely hectic. I cannot even put in words like how grueling our duties used to be like. But then again, I used to find time to study during the duty calls and everything. And then I think I made it through. And it was towards the end of internship that I took 1 or 2 months again, like a gap of 1 or 2 months, and then I appeared for step two.
Okay, great. And then what did you do after that?
So I graduated in November of 2023. Step two was in December of 2023. From
Oh,
February 24 to June 24, I was there in the US for observerships. So 4 months of observerships. And then I went to my sister's home in the US itself. And then I prepared for like 1.5 months for step three. And then I finally appeared for step three by the end of July 2024. I came
okay.
back to India afterwards because I was so sure that I'm not going to come back again for step three at least. But God had other plans. I had to go back to US again that year for in-person interviews. But then again, that was my whole timeline.
Really? Like you went there for in-person interviews
Yes,
for the map. Okay.
yes.
I didn't know that they were still taking it like in
They
person.
did. I was like, I was like so shocked because I was only preparing for the virtual ones. And then when I got my first interview, so I think right after submitting the application, I got my first interview within like 3 or 4 days. 29th, I got my first interview. And I was so shocked that it's so quick, right? I was expecting in the later part of October at least. And then I saw that it was written in person in the interview type. It showed in person. And I was like, okay, this is rare. Like, I don't know what to do about this. So I emailed the coordinator and they were like, yes, you need to travel here, see our program in person. And luckily, I got two of them in the same state. And I had to travel for that for like just 15 days, going there, getting used to the jet lag again, and then appearing for the interviews, preparing for them. One interview, then another interview within a week, coming back. Those were like the most tiring 15 days of my whole application season, I would say. Yes.
Okay, coming back to your USCE. So you had observerships.
Yeah.
Where were they and were all of them in IM?
Yes, my I had like four observerships. One was like a clinic externship, which I got through contact. The other three were university observerships, again through contacts, and all of them were in super specialties of internal medicine itself. Three were in gastroenterology. One was in cardiology. Yes,
Okay.
I knew somebody in the US like through a relative or through somebody like if my friends rotated to that place and they were very close to the preceptor, they asked the preceptor if they can share the email with me. Luckily, it worked out for me because when I was applying, I was already a graduate. So it was very difficult for me to find university electives at least. So all
Hmm.
I had university observerships and I made sure that I'm cold emailing as much as I can and sometimes they don't reply to cold emails, but then again, you have to be very patient with them. You cannot expect the reply straight up.
Yeah.
One of email I got through somebody who rotated there. I emailed them in January. They replied me in April. The rotation was in June. So the wait period and then all of a sudden getting a reply from them. So people who are sending cold emails, they have to be extremely patient.
Yeah, I was discussing this yesterday as well, that keep on emailing till your last second, like till as much as you can. Just keep on doing it because you never know if somebody cancels or if somebody calls in a
Exactly.
favor and they just like fill up on, first come, first basis. So you
Exactly.
have to be out there if you need to get a spot.
Exactly. And also the thing is you cannot start the process just a month or two before. I
Yeah.
remember emailing them at least like 8 to 9 months in advance.
Yeah. How did you get these contacts through which you got into the university?
As I said, like I was working with somebody and through them I got to know that okay they went somewhere and they were their preceptors and I don't know how they got the contact, but then again they were very kind because I was working with them in an organization and one of them was through that. The other one, my sister is an engineer. She lives in Texas and then she has a group of Indian friends over there. So luckily what happened, she knew somebody who was a doctor.
Okay.
He was a distant relative and then his friend was a faculty member in one of the universities I went to. So you see, you have to approach whoever you know in the US. It's not everyone. So it's not just like you need to only reach out to the doctors who are in the US, but also to the people who are just there, who are family, friends, who can help you in any way possible, in any capacity possible.
So, like for internal medicine, USC, you consider that as one of like a strong factor for matching?
Yes, when I was in my interviews, when especially in those two in-person interviews, they went through my whole CV in front of me and they were very glad that within a span of 1 year, my year of graduation is just it was less than 1 year when I was interviewing. So, they were very glad that I went to all these universities, the good names, and then they were proud that, oh my God, this is commendable that you went to all these places because what happens, they will be knowing that if you are going to such a place you must have seen how the EMR system works,
Mhm.
how a medical system in the best places work. I'm pretty sure it must have happened with you as well, right?
For me, it was like wherever I rotated, got an interview. Like 50% of the places I rotated, I got an interview from them.
Oh
And
God, okay.
one of the places that
Yeah.
I rotated before, I matched as well.
Yeah.
So I would say in my application, it really mattered where I rotated and with who I networked.
Damn.
Um,
Yes. So this is one thing I tell to people who are applying for observerships and USCs. Try to apply to as many IMG friendly places as possible
yeah.
because this is one takeaway point I realized. If I would have gone unmatched, being very candid here, if I would have gone unmatched, I would have targeted more IMG friendly places this time because wherever I went, they were not at all IMG friendly. So even though the connections I made over there, they didn't help me that much. Even though they were reaching out to their friends and everyone who was in the system, it didn't help me that much. Like even if they were vouching for me. So it's always better that you're going to IMG friendly places because the connections you make over there will at least secure you an interview.
You an interview. Like
Yes.
you would get back so much in return,
Yeah.
not like, than just one LOR or like one more than
Yeah.
that. You'll get
Yeah.
back in return. That is true.
We coming from India, we coming from a whole different medical system altogether. We are a bit timid when it comes to talking to the faculty members straight up and then, putting forward our views. And then we are like, this is how we have grown up, right?
Yeah.
We are very conservative in that manner. We do not want to overstep the boundaries, and then we are always very cautious. But then I was seeing them, they're so bold. They put their opinions straight up front. It was so inspiring because they were also like treated respectfully, that their opinions also matter.
As a doctor.
Exactly. And as a doctor, because the first month I was there, my resident used to laugh at me because I used to be like, oh my God, the consultant is the, oh my God, I should not say anything. Oh my God, I should not do this. And he was like, you need to calm down, okay? You cannot be on your nerves all the time and then be scared. So I eventually started speaking up and then started talking to the preceptors, my attendings. And it was fun, like it was the learning curve just went up from there.
I think that is also an important way of securing a good LOR to speak up. It's one way you can ensure that they will write an LOR from you. The preceptors, I had to go up to them and ask them. They all said that, okay, we would be happy to write an LOR.
So during the third week of rotation, I used to go up to them and then ask them if they could write me a strong LOR. Always use the word strong or maybe a personalized. So I used to use those words in front of them, and they were like, yeah, yeah, sure. Whenever the time comes, send the ERAS form. We'll be more than happy to write one for you. But you need to build a rapport with them. You have to be very punctual. And even if something is bothering you, you need, like, I was studying for my step 3 during one of my rotations. It was very close to my exam date. So I went to the preceptor and I told him that, this is my capacity. Sometimes I feel that if it's okay, can I leave early on some days? If the procedures are not taking that long, if the whole day doesn't require me to be there. So I had to ask him personally. It's like a gamble as well. I'm not asking that you need to do that in every other rotation, but if you also have some certain, things to do, you can very politely ask them if it's okay, can I leave early? And then he was like, yeah, sure, the procedures are done, please go. You're like, why are you still here? And he used to just send me home, like, go, study for step 3. It's more important right now. You have seen enough procedures for today. So,
In one rotation, I told my preceptor that I do have my step 3 exam.
yeah,
And he was like, take the day before off to. And I was like, are you sure? Like, because
yeah,
I do want to be present. I do like this program.
yeah.
And he was like, yeah, because your step 3 is gonna make or break your application. So it's a big exam. Do you think
Exactly.
step 3 is important in IM?
I think yes, because now a lot of people are giving them. I'm not saying that people don't match without step 3, but if you feel that you have any setbacks in your application and if you want to strengthen your application even better and have
Yeah.
a positive chance of, securing an interview at least, because I do not think that the scores matter that much. But then again, during my interviews, they were like very happy that my step 3 is done, it's out of the way. And then if I come to their program, they don't have to worry about my step 3.
Right. In psychiatry, I
Yeah.
was told by some program directors, have you like completed your step 3? So I knew that how their mindset worked.
Yes.
They
Yes.
wanted step 3 on your application. They wanted like a complete profile.
Definitely.
It's so competitive out there now.
Very much.
Everyone is doing something or
Yes.
the other thing, and you have to be like, you have to add an edge to your application
Exactly.
to like compete.
Exactly.
Coming to other things in applications, do you think research is a key factor?
I've spoken a lot about this. It's not a key factor that it's the only thing that you need to focus. There's always a chronological pattern. First, you will have your step exams, then you'll have your USCs, then you have your connections, then you have your volunteering that you have done that is going to be there in the 10 experience sections of your ERAs. Then I think research is also a part of your application. So treat it accordingly. Do not revolve your whole personality around research, keeping your steps aside, keeping your USCs aside, but only running after research. I mean, you need to fill up that section. If you're personally very much interested, take it as an opportunity. Do as many as possible because you like doing it. But if you're somebody who just wants a decent number, who just wants that section to be filled like I did, I think be interested. Do not just do it for the sake of it. Because sometimes if somebody asks you in your interview, tell me about this research paper, and you're blank because you actually did not do anything and you don't even know what really happened in that paper. So that is going to be like a negative part, right? So even if you're like going for research papers, even if you're publishing research papers, make sure that you have crossed the average number. Every year, NRMP releases the stats, like,
Data chart. Yeah.
data chart that how many research papers the matched applicant had. So I think for internal medicine last year it was 6 or 7. So I definitely exceeded more than that. I had like 10 to 12 published. Some were submitted, some were in under review. There were one or two poster presentations as well. So everything is going to be there in the section. At least it won't look that blank. Even if you are working for like five of them have not gotten published yet, so you can definitely mention it as submitted so
Yeah.
that at least that section is full, right? Whenever
Yeah.
somebody is going through your application, they are seeing that section and they're like, okay, so he or she has put some efforts for this section. It's not
Yeah.
entirely blank.
Yeah, completely agree with that point. Even if you're working on a research, you can add it.
Yeah,
Submissions can be added, accepted can be added, poster presentations can be added.
definitely.
Anything that you're doing in research can be added and will count in your ERA CV.
Exactly.
For me, research is more about networking and not just publishing. You are networking with people, you are
Hmm.
collaborating with people, you are reaching out to them. That would further help you in
Yes.
getting interviews or like
Yes.
getting your application checked out from someone. Right. So let's go to your interviews.
Okay.
How many interviews did you get? And how was your interview season like?
So I received 4 interviews in total. They were all internal medicine because I only applied internal medicine,
Mm.
no dual application or anything like that. So the
Uh-huh.
first interview, it came like 4 days within my application. And then I got one interview in October, one interview in November, and then my last interview came in December. And the one which I got in December is the program I matched at. Yeah.
Okay.
So like they were like 2 in-person interviews and 2 virtual interviews. Like I cannot complain. I was expecting more. Honestly, I expected
Mhm.
more because last year the people who had same stats, they at least secured like 6, 7 interviews. But then again, like a lot of factors play in and I cannot complain. People match with just one interview as well.
Yeah. Do you think number of interviews matter or like doesn't?
For personal satisfaction, it does matter. So it,
Honestly, yeah.
yeah.
Personal satisfaction.
Exactly. I was aiming for five, six at least 6, 7 interviews at least. But then again, when I got 4, I was a bit skeptical what was going to happen. I was pretty sure that my CV is decent enough. My scores are fine. My interviews went amazing. How do you know that your interview went well? We were talking, we were giggling. I could relate with them. They could relate with me. So I knew that there are like 2 programs where I stand a good chance. All the other ones went well. They went amazing. But there were particularly 2 of them which I thought that are going to be the one, and I matched at my top program. The program I kept first in the ROL, I matched to that program.
So, what exactly happened in that interview that gave you that idea that, okay, I am clicking with this program?
So they were asking me questions. First of all, they were going through my entire CV. They were asking me questions related to the CV. So this is a very important factor. You need to know your CV in and out. You need to be very well versed with your CV, whatever you're speaking. You have to be extremely humble all the time during your interviews. And I think even though even though the interviewers, they try to they try to twist things so that they know how you answer them. Or are
Give
you
me an
getting
example. Give me like an example.
I do not have an example from the at the top of my head, but I could sense that, they would say something to intimidate you at times.
Huh.
Not
Oh,
Yeah, it happened in one of my interviews that they would say something to intimidate you, but you have to be your best. You know that you are sitting
yeah.
here. Why you are sitting here, you know that answer really well. And I think you just have to, believe in yourself and be very humble whenever you're in front of them. They would ask me ethical or, behavioral questions. Your most difficult patient to handle, and if there was a conflict, how were you able to manage that? If I give you a situation where, you're put in a condition that you have to choose between right and wrong, like how would you defend your ethical integrity and things like that? You have to be so prepared with those answers, and it would only come if you have given a lot of mock interviews. I think people are amazing on papers. At times they have amazing scores, amazing, USCs, but then they do not own good interviewing skills. So you need
Yeah.
to take a lot of mock interviews.
Did you practice with any other co-applicants or like mentors?
Yeah, I practiced with people who are applying this year. I practiced with my mentors, people who are already residents there, who are the chief residents currently. So it was a
Okay.
plus point because they know how the interviewing process goes, right? They will also give you insights from their interviews. I wanted to see how confident I would be if I'm kept in front of an unknown person.
Yeah, because I think people who don't know you, they're very comfortable being critical.
Exactly. They are very critical. And then I used to polish my answers accordingly.
I only think practicing with matched applicants or people who have gone through the match,
Yeah.
mentors,
Yeah.
it's better
Yes.
scheduling your mock interviews with co-applicants because they are anxious and we are anxious, and that all of that anxiety and
Yeah.
competition, I don't know how positively it can affect your application. I mean, when I was in that
Yeah.
interview phase, I wanted all that positive energy around me. If I
Yeah.
was getting anxious, I didn't want the other person to be anxious too. I wanted a person who went through this process and who can guide me.
Here, I have something to say. So I felt, oh my God, what if somebody copies my answer and like they use the same answer? But then I came up with something different. The
Mhm.
people I'm talking about, the other applicants I'm talking about, none of them were going through IM. None of them applied to IM. They were from either surgery, neurology, or different subspecialties. So that why when I'm answering why internal medicine, I'm not afraid that they're going to, like steal away
Like,
my.
you guys will have similar answers because it's not even
Yeah.
sometimes it's not about stealing also. Sometimes, when two people they work together, their actions kind of become similar. I wanted my own persona to shine out,
Exactly, exactly,
be subconsciously influenced by
exactly. Yeah,
someone else who's working on their application. It's
exactly.
so much better to interact with a person who's already been through it
Been through it,
and
yes.
they can just guide you better. That it's just my personal opinion,
No,
nothing
no,
wrong.
no, it matters a lot because when I used to practice in front of the residents who are there, they used to teach me what is the language you have to use, how you have to answer, and how you can twist and turn the answers because there are certain people in the attendings who would love to hear the answer that way because they
Mm.
have worked with so many of them, so they can always guide you better, and you can modify the answers accordingly. That if given a question like how would you handle a conflict with one of your coworkers?
Mm.
So you won't say, "Oh yeah, I do not remember something like that.
Have
I was,
any conflicts.
yeah, I do not have any conflicts. I'm such a great person," and then answers like that. But no, I had an answer, and I had a conflict I dealt with. But
Yeah.
I used the resident who was helping me with one of the mock interviews. She told me how to answer this question. She was like, okay, this is an interesting question. I clearly remember one particular incident when I went through something similar. It was not exactly a conflict to begin with, but then, of course, I was very uncomfortable when that thing was happening. And I came up with solution to deal with that rather than being too defensive about it or being too rebellious about it. So, there are some words which we might not think from the top of our heads, but they will be telling us that, okay,
Yeah.
you can present it in a way that you're not sounding too cocky or you're sounding like, oh my God, I'm so blessed. I've never had a conflict in my life.
I
Yeah.
wonder if somebody answered like that. I don't know. But again,
People would. You never
I
know.
don't know. That is why interview prep is so important.
Important.
Who you prep with and how much time do you give yourself? Like
Yeah.
you can't cheat it. There's no cheat code. So Tanya, what about the oh shit moments during the interviews that you were like, oh my God, I'm blank, or how do I tackle this question? Did you ever feel like that? Or like I just did this mistake and I'm in front of my interviewee?
Honestly, I would say that there were no oh shit moments, but there were certain points where after the interview, I was thinking I could have answered it in that way. You need to know a research paper really well. There was one research paper which was still under progress. We were still not done with it, and I completely forgot some important detail about it. Like there was an important detail related to that research paper, and somehow he asked me that, like, okay, tell me about this paper. And I was like, okay, I do know what happened in that paper, but then again, I'm not that confident right now to answer. But anyhow, I did. But then again, I realized, oh my God, what if it goes against me? Like he might think that I'm not well versed with my CV, or usko lagega ki shit, she has not done anything on this paper. So I actually forgot a very important thing about it.
I remember like once there were like two interviewers, they were introducing themselves. So sometimes I unknowingly, I'm a bit sarcastic and like, funny. And they were like, I'm so and so, I'm this doctor, will be the one interviewing you.
Yeah.
And I said, yes, and I'm Ravleen Suri, and I'll be the interviewee you will be interviewing today. And I was like, okay, should I have said that? But and it was actually
Yeah. Your head, yeah.
like these kind of things. And that moment, I'm like, I don't know if I should have said that.
You know exactly when I was preparing, I was giving mock interviews with my mentors and the people I'm close with. They told me, nahi, do not. Even if you know that you're a funny person, even if you know that you can crack sarcastic jokes that other people can handle, still no, do not.
You be very careful, but then you don't know. Like, I didn't know if it would land or not. So tell me this, what if you had to give yourself a brutal piece of advice before you were applying?
Stop crying over everything and don't panic even in situations where it's out of your control. And somehow I was trying to be somebody who is just trying to control every situation possible, and sometimes it didn't go that well. So there were moments of panic as well, but then I realized ho to gaya, matlab it's all done now. Like it falls into place, and then eventually when you think about it going back, you're like, Kyun? Why was I even crying about it? Ye to itna nahi tha. Like why? There was no use, there was point of crying is baat ke liye. I think yeah, we all go through that and we learn, because when we started this journey, we were very young. So we were just like 22, 23 years old. Now it's like 4 years later, we are like grown up.
Like, we have given 4 to 5 years of our life
Yeah,
to this journey, and it is only defined by a couple of months. So
yeah.
it's very hard to not be anxious.
Exactly. It is defined by your metrics, what scores you got, where did you rotate at, how many LORs you have, kitna kiya, kya kiya. Everything is attached to a number, but the number of days you have spent in anxiety making that thing happen, all your imposter syndromes will just hit you like anything. कि, अरे यार मतलब ठीक है हो गया, let it go. And if I would not have matched again, it would have just multiplied by 100, I think.
What about the red flags that you must have come across in your application?
I think talking about red flags as such, there was no huge red flag, but I think people have like 260s and 270s, and I did not have a score like that. So I had to deal with that score. I had a decent score, but then again, it was not high enough so that I gain confidence regarding that. People feel that it's the end of the world if you're not scoring that high. So do not end the journey just because you feel that I cannot do it because my score is not how I expected. USMLE is much above scores, and we need to come to that realization as soon as possible. I know scores really open a lot of gates for you, and it makes your chances stronger. But then again, there are so many other aspects where you can, strengthen your application, and then it all works out if you really want it to work out.
Yeah, there are people with like low scores, great application, they match.
Yeah,
Great scores, nothing on their application, otherwise, don't match. There is a
exactly.
variety of applicants that we have seen. It really depends on who, as a person, you are. What have you done for this journey? How
Yeah.
much code also matters to some extent, but
Hmm.
it is not just that. What
Yeah.
about the other red flags do you think there are in IM to address?
People are concerned about year of graduation.
Mhm.
So, like a lot of places, they appreciate if your year of graduation is less than 3. But then again, the people I know who had year of graduations more than 5, and they ended up matching as well. So they must have done something right to cover up for their scores were amazing. So for me, it was just the opposite. My year of graduation was just less than one. My score was decent, maybe not that high enough. So you never know until it's done what really is working for you and what really was your red flag and what was your strength overall, which really highlighted and somebody really appreciated that.
Yeah, some people match, some people don't
Yeah.
match. What do you think was a game changer in your application? Like, what made Tanya match?
I think, yes, along with the rotations I did, all the experience I got from there, I think the volunteering I did, the mentorship sessions I used to take, the mentoring part I did, grateful because of my Instagram page, I'm giving something out there. I
Mhm.
started taking mentorship sessions. I highlighted that portion really well in my CV. That was a whole different section, that was one whole different experience. Out of the 10 experiences, this one was particularly highlighted. I made sure that I'm also putting my Instagram link out there uh, in my CV. And you won't believe, the program director in the in-person interview, she was actually going through my profile in front of me and she was like, oh my God, you have like 90,000 followers. That's huge. And the aesthetics and everything. I'm not asking somebody to do the same, but whatever works for you. I'm not asking you to be a med influencer or open an Instagram page at the
Tanya,
end of the
I added my Instagram profile to my application too. And because it made me who I am a person like speaking in front of a crowd. And I have to like record myself 30 times to post.
Yeah, it's big. It is a very stressful process to, record a reel and then when you're talking in front of the camera, it's a huge deal. I worked with an NGO as well, so that was also mentioned in my CV, and I was asked about it as well.
These things, yeah, all of these things are brought up.
Yeah, they were
All,
they were brought up during the interview. Do what you really like and highlight it in your CV.
yeah, definitely. Is there something that you would like to say to people who are feeling hopeless about the match or who are going to sit in the match cycle that's
Yeah.
just going to begin?
Firstly, a lot of people who were amazing, they got unmatched this cycle. So always have your plan B ready. Make sure what is the thing that you're going to do after you go unmatched. More observerships. Is it like you're going to have a research position or are you going to give some other exam? So
Mm.
this is for all the people who went unmatched and SOAP also didn't work for them. So always be on your toes from now onwards. Take some time. It was already very stressful the last couple of months. They were not easy for any of us. So learn from your mistakes. And if you're still not there yet, if you have not applied, you're still waiting and you're getting things done, giving step one, step two, or going for your USCs for the very first time, take it slow. So ultimately ho jata hai and you have to be just calm and composed. Keep ठीक है. Enjoy everything.
I remember a person reached out to me on Instagram. So I also have like
Hmm.
some sessions that I talk to
Yeah.
people and I look at their applications if they want me to. One of the person, she scheduled a session with me and then she canceled it and emailed that, hey, I just matched into a soap position. I really
Oh,
like that I could, schedule a session with you, but I unfortunately won't be needing it. Thank you for your time. And I was like,
damn.
that is amazing, you keep on going
Exactly.
the emotion out of the
Exactly.
whole equation because you have nothing, but you just have to keep on going.
Exactly. I mean, this is a whole marathon when people used to say, "Arey, USMLE is a marathon." नहीं समझ में आता initially. Why would people call it like that? They just give terms so easily. But when you're in the process, you realize the moment you stop somewhere, it's like you are 10 days behind someone else. Like you
Yeah.
cannot stop. You always have to be on your toes. And I
Keep
think it
on
is
going.
difficult. You have to be extremely motivated for that. And you need to have that inner motivation. It differentiates us from people who are giving NEET PG, right? It's just a 1 day exam. I know it's very difficult. You require to know everything. You spend endless hours studying. But then again, it's just a 1 day process, right? Whatever you perform on that particular day. For USMLE, it's more than just the exams. It requires you to constantly be present your best self out there, look out for opportunities as much as you can, connect to people as much as you can, and a lot of socializing, which can drain you completely at some point.
And this is what the Indian applicants, especially because I'm from India and you're from
Yeah.
India, we both know that in India we don't socialize a lot
I
to
don't
get
know.
a PG seat,
Yeah,
to get ahead in your medical career. Like
exactly.
like it happens in India. So
Exactly.
that is why USCE, US clinical experiences, research collaboration is so important because you get the idea of it,
Exactly.
what to do and how to do the things in the
Yeah.
US. And that
Yeah.
is why research, I think, is so important, not just because of publication, but because of collaborating.
Right.
At least for psychiatry, it made
Yes.
a lot of better things. It made my application very better because I got to collaborate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
So
think it would work the same for IM as well. The people I've worked with, and then it was a whole different experience altogether. Understanding how teamwork really works here in a professional
mhm,
setup. Be it anything, be it your USC, your research, everything would require you to, be a team player and be with people and collaborate. So yes,
yeah, definitely. Is there something else that you want to say to the people who are watching right now?
celebrate with us. We are finally on the other side of it.
Everything is great once you match.
Exactly.
Like, honestly, like you don't even realize that you've matched.
Exactly. People are texting me that, you have got a match, post-match glow, you're glowing. I'm like, yes, I am. I'm not worried anymore. I'm sleeping on time. I'm eating right, and I'm not stressed at all. I'm not worried what is going to happen.
But you are only having this life for 2 more months, and then it's back
Exactly.
to
It is
busy.
going back to normal after that. I see my resident friends and they're like, live your moment. These are the only 2 months you're going to be this happy again. I'm like, okay.
Okay. But it was so nice to sit with you and chat with you. This is
Yeah.
gonna be the end of our session right now.
Congratulations. We did it.
Yes, definitely.